Welcome to Life Recovery Today with Stephen Arterburn. In the next half hour, you'll obtain insights and tools to transform your life using the biblical principles found in the 12-step program. We believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience because we all have struggles in life. Struggles with addictions, food, depression, anxiety, and relationships, to name a few. You'll be encouraged to see how others have found a new way of life with hope for the future through life recovery. Your host is Steve Arterburn, founder of New Life Ministries and Women of Faith, author of over 100 books, and teaching pastor at Northview Church in Carmel, Indiana, one of the 20 largest churches in America. Steve is the co-editor of the Life Recovery Bible, the #1 selling recovery Bible. With over 3 million copies sold, this is the Bible given to inmates by Prison Fellowship and the Pew Bible for the Salvation Army. Now here's Steve.
Hi there. Welcome to Life Recovery Today with Steve Arterburn. That's me, and I'm really glad that you've joined us today. Got a great guest today, Patrick Murphy. He's going to talk about his life and what happened after things got really crummy and then they got really good. And that's what we hope for every person. You know, since it's November and we're kind of going along with those folks that are in step studies, we've been looking at the 11th step. If there was ever anybody who I think mastered the 11th step, it would be David. Because, you know, he was literally all his life seeking to improve his contact with God through songs and through writing and prayers. And one of the things that he said, let me read this to you. He said this, he said, I hold my head up high, and the thing that I delight in the most is perfecting and meditating in the temple. Wow, that's such a great thing that he, back then, was meditating on God's Word, and it wasn't as easy as picking up a Bible. You know, it was a little more difficult to grab or walk around with your own personal Bible. Well, when we start recovery, we are looking for God. We are asking for God to make Himself known, and then many times we get off track. We get so into ourselves or into our pain or whatever it is that we forget that there is this God who literally has made a place within Himself for us to abide with Him. And He longs for us to fellowship with Him. Not just read His Word, but He really wants us, as the Bible says, to pray without ceasing. And so our contact with Him gets so much richer when I go from just asking for something to thanking Him, for praying for other people, and then just to stop and meditate on the powerful words that He has. And when we start to meditate, you know, it's not weird, it's not strange. We just let these powerful things saturate our brain and they start to stick. And if you have attention deficit disorder like I do, you need things that'll help the stuff stick in the brain. So maybe it's just something like, thank you, God, for today. Or thank you, God, for my blessings. Just over and over, and it kind of puts you in a grateful attitude. Well, we're going to talk with Patrick Murphy right after this. We'll take this break. If you need some help, like if you don't have a Life Recovery Bible or any of the other resources, just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and we'll get those to you. We'll be back after this.
Are you going through your struggles alone? Do you want someone to talk to help you through your pain? Do you feel like a failure when you relapse again, telling yourself, next time will be different? Don't walk this path alone anymore. Join a life recovery group today and be a person that your friends and family can be proud of. God created us to be in community, and we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country, and if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. Life Recovery brings recovery to you, right where you are. You'll take a journey with others to find healing and freedom. Whether you're looking to join a group or start one, New Life Ministries is here for you. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE or visit liferecoverytoday.net.
Hi, welcome back to Life Recovery Today. And I'm really thrilled to have, well, somebody who's been there, maybe where you've been, Patrick Murphy. Patrick, thanks for being with me. Really glad you're here. Now, you're a great friend of Jennifer, who's my assistant, and she said we just had to have you on and to tell your story, and you've gone through some major life changes, and we'll get to all of that. But first, let's talk about what the problem was and how you got into it and the impact on your life.
Well, I tell you, there's a lot of different things when you look at addiction and you look at recovery and how it started. Sometimes it's really hard to kind of pinpoint, was there something that caused the ball to get rolling?
Right.
In high school, I excelled in academics. I played sports. I was social. I think from the outside looking in, it would have been a great picture to look at.
Yeah.
And a couple of drinks here, a couple of drinks there, never really got out of control. And then found drugs a little here, a little there, never really got out of control. And then when I went to college, it got a little bit different.
Yeah.
Not having my family there, not having my support system there. And then I was a little bit more probably of a sprinter when it came to addiction than a marathon.
Okay, so how, I mean, what does that mean?
It escalated quickly, yeah.
Like how? What happened?
It went from something using recreational drugs to harder drugs and more often, and kind of always chasing that high, chasing that next thing to go after, being social, being out and about. That was an identity that I almost created for myself.
Yeah.
And then it just got to the point where it was out of control and I was no longer a good student. Yeah. I lost a scholarship in college.
Oh dear.
So some of those things just really started adding up, and I think if I ever stopped to look at myself, I would have been able to admit it easily.
Yeah.
A friend had reached out to my parents and kind of told them what I was doing and the road I was going down, and for me it was pretty simple. When my mom brought it up to me, we had dealt with recovery in the past. My father, when I was 7 years old, got sober, so he's been sober now for 38 years.
Wow.
So I had a great example of somebody who recovered and stayed in recovery. And so going into a rehabilitation center at 20 years old, somewhat open-minded,
yeah,
somewhat probably overconfident. I had my friends telling me, tell your parents it's not really that big of a deal. Tell your parents it's, you know, tell them whatever you have to do just to kind of get out. And then in those 30 days, I think, my mentality really changed.
That's what happens, I think, when somebody, you know, comes to the end of themselves. I suspect your parents, you tried to keep it from them. How did they find out that you really were in trouble? Was it somebody that the friend went to them? Is that?
Yeah, I think it was mainly the phone call, just of it's not really drinking, it's more the, you know, using cocaine, using these drugs that escalated pretty quickly. Yeah. And I think that was the, it was really a question from my mother. It was like, do you think that you have a problem? Do you think that we need to go? And rather than yelling and screaming, it was like, let's talk about this. And I think I was very open to saying, yes, like let's go.
I don't want to miss that point because, you know, a lot of times we talk about whenever you have a child and they're in trouble, if you could get curious rather than furious, it would go a long way. And here you had a mom who's saying, okay, do you think? I mean, she's curious. She's asking you questions rather than what I think most of us want to do, that's yell and scream and pressure and talk about how bad we look because you're acting up. So I think it's really fortunate that your mom was on that track, and so you went and got the help. Now, one of the things I'm always curious about is tolerance. Did you think that you had a high tolerance to begin with, or was it later that you just no amount of drug was enough for you?
I think it grew.
Drew?
You know, it was one of those things when for people that mix drugs and alcohol, it's sometimes the more drugs you do, the more alcohol that you can drink when you're battling up and down. Yeah. So I think I went into rehab and the program not thinking that I had a problem with alcohol, almost planning to continue to drink
Yeah.
on the way out.
Get rid of the drugs, but not the alcohol.
Right.
Okay.
And I realized in there that two things I think about daily is that alcohol, drugs, they're all mood-altering chemicals.
Yeah.
So I'm unhappy with my current mood and I want to change it.
Right.
And I knew for a fact that, and it's probably what's kept me sober for 25 years, is I know if I ever went back, I would pick up exactly where I left off.
You got a good treatment center if they're teaching you that kind of stuff, and how fortunate that you were able to do it at 20 rather than 40 and waste all of that time. I think that's fantastic, and you know, not everybody is in that good a shape. But when you think back on treatment, what would you say? You said it really changed your whole perspective. What were some of the things that made it different for you inside your head?
I think that I came to grips with that the people that I hung out with, that I was so scared to lose their friendship because now I was not using and not drinking. I realized very quickly that those relationships could get filled with relationships with other people.
Yeah.
That I saw people I didn't want to be like, that I didn't want to emulate, and the more clear-headed I was, I saw friends and people going out and being very easy to say, I never want to be out of control.
Yeah.
I know that I'll never get a DUI. I know that I'll never have to say it was because I'm sorry because I was drunk, you know, that happened. So having that control, I think I really enjoyed, that nobody could ever take that away from me. And then my friends weren't always supportive. You know, I had friends that say, hey, I know you're gonna drink again. Let me be the first one to buy you a drink.
Oh my goodness.
And I was just like, I can't hang out with that person.
Yeah.
And so I had to really start from scratch. At 20 years old, just going, everybody that I hung out with was probably not the best example.
Right.
And so trying to really build those relationships with people that you can find in meetings, that you can find in recovery, that share the same goals. And I also realized there's a lot of people in recovery that I couldn't relate with because I was 20.
Right.
And you know, now at 45, even in meetings, there's other things that other people have gone through that I can't relate with.
Yeah.
But there's so many stories out there of success and faith and ability to plug into the system, that being in the meetings, being around the people, that you're gonna find somebody that you can hang on to and relate with.
Well, I tell you, that's a very powerful message to everybody that's struggling, that, you know, if you really want to do yourself a favor, you find the people that are going to help you succeed in recovery. And when you can succeed in recovery, everything literally can change. When you stop negotiating, maybe I could do a little bit of alcohol and maybe it'll be okay. But it isn't. It's never going to be okay. We all know that. Our whole body gets addicted, and you just start that addiction, as Patrick said, right where you left off. But I want to tell you, there is a time where you're kind of shocked that you no longer have any desire to change your mood with a chemical. It's like magic almost when you wake up one day and go, you know what, I am no longer trying to overcome wanting to change my mood and not changing it, but literally think, I don't have a desire for mood change. Pretty important thing. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come right back with more of Patrick's story and what he does now to maintain sobriety. We'll be back.
It's hard to find a trusted friend when you're in crisis. Someone who's been there and understands, but who also has the training and skill to give you practical help. Family, friends, and churches want to help, but often they're not equipped to care for those dealing with problems like addiction and pornography, infidelity, anger, depression. New Life Ministries is here to provide help and hope in life's hardest places. We're not focused on making people feel better. We're focused on helping people do the work that will help them be better. At New Life, we have resources available to help you, like books, DVDs, CDs, workshops, and our network of licensed counselors. If you need help, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and begin your new life today.
Welcome back to Life Recovery Today. My special guest, Patrick Murphy. And we've heard a story that I think a lot of people would love to have that story. And it's simply that he started his recovery at age 20, not 52 or 62. Although I did know a guy who started recovery at about age 85. And it was pretty amazing what he was able to do up into his 90s to help other people. But Patrick, really happy that you found recovery. Your parents handled this really well. So you got back into school and got a degree, and what did you do after that?
You know what? After college, I started doing outside sales and marketing and had a chance to move into an ownership position and open up an advertising company. And from there, really moved from St. Louis, where I was from, to Kansas City, and eventually out to Los Angeles. And that's actually where I met my wife. She graduated from Ball State, and she moved out and came in for an interview at my company. And 3 years later, we ended up being married. But
awesome. And how did you tell her, hey, I'm a great guy and everything, I just happen to not drink?
I felt like, and now today, 99% of anybody that I talk to, deal with, has never seen me not sober.
Right.
And probably most of the people in my neighborhood have no idea that I'm sober.
Yeah.
So, because I may be at a party and somebody says, you want a drink? I'm like, yeah, I'll take a water, or I'll take a Coke.
Yeah.
Me mentally, I don't make it as big of a deal,
right,
because I feel like I just kind of move on from it.
Okay, so I just want to stop you because I like to point out really great stuff, like your mother being curious, not furious. But to me, when somebody is really in recovery and it has kind of restored almost everything, it isn't a big deal. Or I would say it's not the biggest deal. Any more than a person that gets a divorce, you don't need to go through your life being divorced your whole life. You're something beyond that. And just to hear you say that you don't make a big deal of it. When I started working in alcohol and drug treatment, all some of the people that would relapse regularly could talk about was just how bad it was and what they'd been through. So it's really healthy to hear. A lot of people don't even know that it's an issue with you. I think that's really good.
I think it comes down to confidence, where I didn't feel like I had to explain to other people about it. And I remember we went out to dinner on our first date with my wife, and that's when I said, oh, I don't drink. And then she was like, oh, what? And I said, no, please. Just because of my situation, I don't expect anybody else. I don't expect the world to part to make room for Patrick Murphy. Yeah. And at that point, heck, it was probably 8-9 years sober at that point. And I was just very comfortable knowing that how to navigate the world sober.
Yeah.
And one thing is, I used to always worry when I was 20 years old, getting sober, thinking, what am I going to do on my 21st birthday? What am I going to do when I get married? Yeah. And everybody uses champagne. And I just found out, I used to wake up every single morning, my foot hits the ground, and I look at my watch, and I know I'm going to bed about 10 o'clock. I just subtract from 10 o'clock and just say, no matter what, let me get through today. Nothing happened that makes me turn to drugs or alcohol before 10 o'clock. And then I'd go to bed at 10 o'clock, say thanks, and then kind of do it. So I knew that I'd worry about the wedding later, I'd worry about my 21st birthday later, and those things came, and when they came, they were a non-issue.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so because you had that much sobriety under your belt, and then she saw you, she must have had pretty good confidence that this wasn't going to be a problem going forward.
Yeah, I don't think I gave any kind of reason not to, that wouldn't be the same going forward. And I think I also found an incredible person that also, she doesn't have that addictive personality, and she doesn't have, because I don't think I would have been attracted to somebody that was like that, to go down that road.
Right.
I've been down that road myself. I don't necessarily want to go through that road with somebody else. So it was really finding that person that when I said, let's cheers with Mountain Dew at our wedding rather than champagne. They just go, yeah, let's do that.
I think there are a lot of people that would say, I'd never be attracted to that person, and yet they're so used to it, that's exactly who they end up with. Right. So now you have Michaela's 12, Spencer's 11, Preston is 7. What do you do to stay great dad, healthy husband, and really enrich your sobriety? What's going on in your life so that maybe somebody's watching and they'd say, well, maybe I need to do that. Maybe that would be healthy for me.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things now is being able to be present. I work out 3 times a week. I do it at 5:30 in the morning, which some people might go, oh my gosh, how do you get up at 5:30 in the morning? But at 5:30 in the morning, nobody needs me. My family's asleep.
Right.
My phone doesn't ring. I can be 100% present at that. And then when I come home, I can be present with my children. And I can be present there where I feel like maybe this year, a lot of us got a chance to pause and really reflect on, rather than hurrying up and waiting or hurrying up to get to the next thing, we've been able to really be present. And I think that with that meditation, with that slowing down, I don't feel as rushed on a daily basis, and things seem to go smoother. I'm a big fan of what you focus on grows. Yeah. And I focus a lot on positive mentality. I do affirmations with my children in the morning to really give them the best shot, because I feel like the more positive you are, the more positive people you're going to attract. Mm-hmm. And I think that addiction is the same way, that addicts attract addicts.
So what would one of those affirmations be like?
So it's, I'm a champion, I'm a winner by choice, I am brave, I am happy, I am confident, and one day I'm going to change the world. Go win your day.
I like that.
Every day.
Boy, that's incredible. Yeah. And so you say that and off you go. Now, are your kids, are they home every day now, or they go back and forth, or what's the...
The youngest is full-time now. My little one goes back coming up, or actually just went back, so 2 of them are full-time. And then the last one, so it's been great. An incredible opportunity just to really mold them into being that type of person that attracts other positive people. Yeah. My son Spencer had open heart surgery almost been 3 years ago. And it was such a hard thing for us to talk about to him. Sure. And when we told him, he said, am I going to have enough chargers for my iPad? So just the mentality of just a young child to just to say, I'm just focused on the positive. So really focusing on the positive with them. And I think I got that from recovery, realizing what I can control and what I can't control, and the Serenity Prayer, and just taking it day by day.
Awesome. Now, I think the product line is Neora, and that's a lifestyle line. I mean, it helps you to age gracefully, or it's a health-centered, positive product. Talk about that a little bit, because it seems like you're the perfect guy to be married to the woman who's out there selling it.
I tell you, it's really it's an incredible company that's founded by a gentleman named Jeff Olson, who wrote a book called The Slight Edge, which I highly recommend to anybody. Yeah. It's just talking about making little decisions in that moment which don't seem significant, but compounded over time make all the difference. Yeah. And I think recovery one day at a time, it used to be 1 hour at a time. And so they add up. The product line, from anti-aging, from skin to health and wellness to now a hairline, has been an incredible opportunity to help people really live their best life and age with incredible healthy products from the inside out.
Well, I think you're looking good. So I think it must be working a little bit. So let's say somebody's still trying to figure out what to do with their life. They know that they're doing some stuff, too much stuff. Maybe you just look in the camera and just encourage them, some helpful thing that you believe would be helpful to somebody that doesn't really know they need to stop forever.
Right. Well, I think that if you're watching this, either A, somebody told you to watch it or asked you to watch it or sent it to you, and you may be open-minded, or you may be, why am I listening to this guy talk? But I feel like taking an opportunity to look at your life, do a 5-year vision statement of if you continue to go down this track, where do you see yourself in 5 years? There's a saying that says, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And I think that that's really relevant. If our friends aren't where we want to be, associating with that different group of people, and at least getting the questions answered to how can we get on a better track to success with your life. And it's not a death sentence being sober.
No, that's right.
By any stretch of the imagination. I do not miss it one day.
Yeah.
I don't miss the money that it would have cost me, the friendships it would have cost me, the relationships it would have cost me. I do not miss any of it.
Well, I think you're a great example of wholesome, healthy recovery. You've been at it a long time because you started at 20, and I hope somebody is inspired by what you said, and I appreciate you coming and sharing it with us. And I think your kids are really fortunate to have a dad that's getting them out there with a little affirmation, but also the example of what do we do when we're not out there drinking, drugging, and all that, and we've got time to be a great dad, a great parent. Well, I am so grateful that Patrick came and shared with us, and there's some things that I think are so important to remember. Tomorrow never comes, for instance. I mean, he decided he would get the treatment. Parents didn't force him in there. You could decide that. I am going to not just stop this, because what does stopping really do? I'm going to start something different and better. And then there's life. Starts to unfold in a totally different way, and you end up experiencing success and even reasonable happiness in this world. I'll take a break. I'll come right back with some final comments here on Life Recovery Today.
Life recovery isn't just about making the courageous choice to give up an addiction or dependency. It's a journey towards health, wholeness, and becoming your very best you. If you need resources to help you in your journey, we can help. There are many life recovery resources that you can do on your own, with a group, or with your church. We have Bibles, workbooks, and devotionals that you can use to work your recovery right where you are. That's the beauty of life recovery. To learn more or to get the Life Recovery Bible or any other life recovery resource, visit liferecoverytoday.net or call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Well, it is that time of year where we start to really examine, hopefully, what we have to be thankful for. And what I'm thankful for is that there is a path and there's a process and there are principles that can lead us down a totally different life. Some of you that watch, you tell me that you've been down that path and it's full of reward and enriching relationships. Others of you, you're still wondering if it's really the path that you want to take or you need to take. A little bit of sacrifice, giving up something that of course you feel you have to have because your body's used to it and maybe is even addicted to it. But you come to terms with that, you give that up, you start recovery just as Patrick did. You put the people around you that can help you and life is going to be different. I'll see you next time here on Life Recovery Today.
Thanks for joining us for Life Recovery Today with Stephen Arterburn. We hope this program has helped you integrate God's truth and wisdom into your recovery journey. This program is brought to you by New Life Ministries, and it's your support that keeps this program on the air. When you contact us for any reason, be sure to let us know that you watch on NRB. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to liferecoverytoday.net. Please join us again next week for more Life Recovery Today.